Welcome aboard to a brand new week here at Fire Your MD Now. Please check out the website, fireyourmdnow.com. Sign up for my health recovery subscription service and check out my live chat sessions that happen twice a week, my live webinars that also happen usually twice a week. Check out the archived information. Check out the longevity, health, and business opportunity. Inform yourself about science-based, clinically verified methods of health recovery that will allow you safely, effectively, and efficiently to fire your MD now. Because why on earth would you pay hard-earned money to give you access to the type of medicine that's the leading cause of death in the United States, number one, and that number two has consistently failed to produce cures or even worthy treatments without side effects for the majority of chronic diseases? Why on earth would you do that? Because you don't know there's a different way. Well, guess what? There is a different way, and you have just found it. Well, I feel good today because I've been vindicated. You know why I've been vindicated? Because even Dr. Oz's colleagues are now saying, don't go to Dr. Oz. I've been saying don't go to Dr. Oz for a long time, not because I have anything against Dr. Oz, other than the fact that he's an MD. His colleagues are saying don't go to see him because he's too distracted because of, all of the TV stuff that he's doing, and he's kind of losing his edge in the operating room. And he's a cardiac surgeon, for goodness sake, which is one of the most despicable professions on earth. Why do I say that? Because most of the time, when people have heart conditions, surgery is the last thing that they need. We support and promote the health of the heart all of the time. I have testimonials that will bring you to tears about people that have had congestive heart failure, people that have been on a waiting list for a heart transplant, people that have had cardiomyopathy, people that have had arrhythmias with threatening, and the MDs are threatening to go in there and burn the nerves and insert a pacemaker, and they get on board with our therapeutics, and voila, guess what? The heart's healthy all of a sudden. No more congestive heart failure. The arrhythmia has disappeared. Everything's back to normal. How is it possible to do this? Well, how is it possible not to do this is a better question. But my point is that Dr. Oz, because he's an MD, like every other MD, only knows what he's been trained in. And what has he been trained in? Has he been trained in medicine? No. He's been trained in the scientific application of drugs and surgery to manage disease. Medical doctors are not trained in healthcare. They're trained in disease management. And there is a big difference between healthcare and disease management. So Dr. Glidden gets another happy good morning because Dr. Oz's colleagues are telling people not to go to Dr. Oz, and even though it's for a different reason, like the fella said, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, fire your MD. Fire your MD frequently. Well, actually, fire your MD once and then forget all about him. The only time you need to avail yourself of conventional medical treatment is if you have suffered, heaven forbid, a trauma. You're in an automobile accident, you break your leg, have a third-degree burn, have an arrow or a bullet somewhere in your body, heaven forbid. You're a soldier, your leg gets blown off, oh my God. The MD profession, that's their wheelhouse, that's their domain, that's what they excel at. And that's what they're really, really good at when they're not gorked out of their minds on prescription drugs, street drugs, or alcohol, as Harvard University says that 51% of emergency room medical doctors are. So if you do have the good or the bad fortune to be transported to an emergency room for a real, live, acute, traumatic medical emergency, have your doctor drug tested before you let them near you with a scalpel. As God is my witness, all things being equal, if you're going to roll those dice, chances are that your doctor is under the influence of some substance, and that's not a good idea when you're going under the knife. Get it? Got it? Good. All right? So it looks like the phones are lighting right up this morning, this afternoon actually. It's 3 o'clock here Central Time. So without further ado, we're going to go right to the phones, and Noel from Colorado is calling. A friend of his took a fall and he wants some advice. Hey, Noel, welcome aboard. You are live.
Dr. Glidden, thank you very much for taking my call. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in loud and clear, Noel.
Thank you. I have a young friend. She's 20 years old, and 5 years ago, she lost her feelings in her shoulders or down through her arms, sometimes in her legs. They swell and they turn purple, and she feels like they're on fire. She can't use them. She's immobile for 5 to 15 hours a day. She's been to the doctors for over all these years. They have no name for it. They have no clue what it is.
And the whole thing happened after she took a fall?
No, not that I don't know if she took a fall or not. It seemed to come on out of nowhere. It just came on one day.
Oh, that's a very interesting thing. You haven't even been able to give it a name, right? So they're kind of clueless even as to the diagnosis, right?
That's right. They've never given it a name, and she says it does. Every time it's going to come on, she feels a pain in her head, she gets dizzy, and her heart starts racing, and it's hard to breathe.
Okay.
I went to see her yesterday. She had a 15-hour attack. She can't move her arms. They won't lift up. They swell. They turn slightly purple. Yeah. I have no clue what it is.
Okay, so neither do I, and neither does anybody else. And quite frankly, even if, and this is an important thing to understand, Noel.
Yes, sir.
Even if there was a definitive diagnosis, right? Even if it was dialed in as reflex sympathetic dystrophy or myasthenia gravis or dermatomyositis or osteoarthritis or rheumatoid arthritis, even if the medical profession was in fact able to give it a name, they are completely clueless as to what causes it, right?
Yes, right.
I mean, they don't know what causes arthritis. They don't know they certainly don't know what causes reflex sympathetic dystrophy. For goodness sake, these folks, they don't even know what causes heartburn, for goodness sake. So, right, from our point of view, the only reason to even get a diagnosis in the first place is to understand that your condition is not life-threatening, right? That's the only reason to give it a name. Oh, holy smokes, I know that it's arthritis and it's not a tumor in my brain. Well, that's a good distinction to know. So understand that the only real reason to secure a diagnosis from a medical professional is so that you can rule out really nasty, life-threatening, dangerous stuff, all right? So now, the fact that nobody knows what to call this doesn't really bother me. Because what do we do when we come up against a peculiar set of symptoms? Well, we do exactly the same thing we do when we come up against a common set of symptoms. We fall back on our fundamental foundation belief that the human body knows how to fix itself, that the human body wants to fix itself, and that most of the time all that's necessary for the human body to fix itself is the raw materials that the human body needs to fix itself. No different than growing a little tomato seed. You know, it needs water, it needs fertilizer, it needs soil, and it needs sunlight. If it's got all four of those things, chances are you're going to have a healthy tomato plant. You withdraw one of those things, not so healthy. Well, it's the same with the human body. So, you don't by chance know what she weighs, do you, Noel? Maybe we lost Noel. All right, so folks, I'm just going to tell Noel what I would do in order to support and promote the health of this woman. And this is a peculiar set of symptoms. But the more peculiar the set of symptoms, the better it is actually for a favorable response here. So, because the center of gravity of this illness is in the muscles, right, and there's also a portent of a neurological condition going on here, because for goodness sake she can't move her arms. So I'm going to bet 25 cents that this woman is shorter than she used to be historically, that she's not as tall as she used to be, and that a part and parcel of her condition is degenerative disc disease, which is a shortening of the cushions in the spine that cushion the spinal cord and the nerves that come out of the spinal cord as they go to different parts of your body. When those cushions ain't cushioning anymore, when those feather pillows have lost their feathers, the nerves that come out of the spine are impacted by gravity and by the bones of the backbone. And this causes all kinds of trouble, and there's probably a piece of her condition attributed to degenerative disc disease. So, Noel, I'm sure you're still listening. What you want to do is measure or have this woman look to see whether or not she's shorter than she used to be. I'm going to bet you 25 cents that she is. But whether she is or not, we're going to do exactly the same thing, because we're going to support and promote the health of her bones, her joints, her muscles, and her central nervous system. So in this regard, the therapeutic recommendation would be to support and promote the health of her body to fix itself per month. 1 anti-aging healthy start pack. 1 anti-aging healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month. 1 bottle of selenium per 50 pounds of body weight per month, stopping at 4 bottles a month. 1 bottle of glucogel capsules at 1 capsule per 10 pounds of body weight per day. So if she's 150 pounds, she needs 15 a day. Take 5 with breakfast, 5 with lunch, 5 with dinner. 15 a day is 450 a month. So if you get her 2 bottles of the 240 count, she has 480 a month, so she can do 16 a day, right? 4, and or whatever that comes out to be, 5, and 6. 5, and 6. And last but not least, in order to support and promote the health of her central nervous system, I would give her the Z-Radical, as much Z-Radical as she can possibly afford, and this on top of a diet that is strong in cholesterol, because the nerves of her central nervous system are made from cholesterol, and she needs cholesterol in order to help the nerves recover their health, if that is in fact necessary. It's almost impossible to give the body too much cholesterol, so you don't need to worry about that. Plus, of course, she must eliminate the 10 bad foods, or we're just pouring nutrients into a leaky bucket, and it's not going to work. 866-582-9933 is the number to call, folks. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. Don't even think about touching that dial. 866-582-9933. You know that number by heart by now. You should. That's toll free. 866-582-9933. Give me a call. I'm going to help you get her done and figure it out. If you're listening to the podcast, which airs for 24 hours immediately after the live presentation, or you would like to talk to a living, breathing human being about the health opportunity or the business opportunity that we espouse on this radio program, that number is 855-347-3696, 855-347-3696. And lest you forget the website of the same name as the radio show, FireYourMDNow.com. And listen, I'm as serious as a heart attack. People say, Dr. Glidden, why are you so hard on those MDs? I'll tell you why, because they drew first blood. Look, it's a free country. You can do whatever you want. And as long as you go your way and let me go my way, you know, we might disagree, but I'm not going to get in your face. You get in my face, I'm going to be 10 times in your face. The MDs in the 1920s domineered and monopolized the medical theater. They sent my colleagues to jail. They went on board with a public relations program, passing laws that made it illegal to practice medicine unless you had an MD after your name. This was after the famous Flexner Report of the 1920s. The Carnegies funded this guy named Abraham Flexner. Flexner went all around the country, did an inventory of all of the medical schools back in the United States back in the day. And listen, there were homeopathic medical schools, there were osteopathic medical schools, there were naturopathic medical schools, there were chiropractic medical schools and hospitals, right? Now it's only MD medical schools and hospitals. A couple of chiropractors, couple of naturopaths thrown into the mix. But in the 20s, it was a relatively, in the late 19th century and the early 20th century, there was a relatively level playing field, and nobody had the upper hand. The MDs weren't king of the hill. Everybody was fighting for patients and fighting for turf. And then the Carnegies paid Flexner to go around the country. He brought his list of medical schools and hospitals that prescribed drugs back to the Carnegies. Now, the Carnegies had millions of dollars, which in the early 1900s really was $1 million, when $1 million was $1 million, right? Carnegies owned pharmaceutical concerns. They owned pharmaceutical companies and stock in pharmaceutical companies. So guess what they did? They gave millions of dollars of free money to the medical schools and the hospitals that prescribed drugs, and they also glad-handed legislators to pass laws which made it illegal to practice medicine unless you had an MD after your name. And this was the beginning of the end for every other type of medicine. So the naturopaths, the osteopaths, the homeopaths, the chiropractors all got kicked off of the bus of medicine, and the MDs squarely took over the driver's seat. Now, if it's 1930, 1940, 1950, 1960, and so forth and so on, all the way up to 2012, and you are an aspiring, intelligent, young high school student, and you want to pursue a career in medicine, and you survey the terrain, and you see on one side of town a multi-million-dollar, beautiful, high-tech, well-endowed medical school that teaches the MD methodology, and on the other side of town you see a rinky-dink little chiropractic college or an online educational system that teaches homeopathy, or naturopathic medical college that's really it's not even in the same league, not even the infrastructure is in the same league. Who are you going to go with? Well, you're going to go with what appears to you to be the best. Now, it appears to be the best because it's the most well-funded. But it's not the best. It's the most well-funded. And this is why the MD profession has garnered all of the support and success that it has, because, for goodness sake, once you're in the grip of the MD education, and you give these people hundreds of thousands of dollars of your money, to educate you. Student loans, education isn't free anymore. It used to be, but it's not anymore. Once you give them hundreds of thousands of dollars to educate you and 16 years of your life to educate you, do you think that when you come out of that meat grinder, you're going to not do what they tell you? This is how the whole thing goes. This is why MD-directed medicine is a juggernaut. It is an out-of-control juggernaut, and they are not number one because their therapeutics are better. They're number one because of drug money. Where's Nancy Reagan when you need her? Just say no, but just say yes to fire your MD now. 866-582-9933. Lines open. Back, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopathic physician, your steadfast advocate for health. Hey, did you hear the one about the medical doctor who gave up his medical license, turned in his medical license, and became a holistic medical practitioner? Did you hear the one? Did you hear that one? No? Well, me either. Me either. It doesn't happen. Medical doctors are not going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on their education and spend 16 years inside the system and then come out of the system and do something other than what they were taught in the system. And let me tell you how bad it is in the professional community. There are, medical doctors are not stupid. They're just short-sighted and cowardly. They only work inside of their box, and they don't want to press that envelope. They don't want to ruffle anybody's feathers. They don't want to rock the boat, right? Because they don't want their license yanked. They don't want their livelihood to be threatened. However, more and more and more MDs are starting to see the futility of their therapeutics. Unless they're a plastic surgeon or a military field surgeon, or they work in the emergency room and they're not addicted to street drugs, alcohol, or prescription medicine, they're in the 49%. There are a handful of MDs who are looking around and saying, holy smokes, boys, this stuff just doesn't work. And so what do they then do? Do they become carpenters? No. Do they become politicians? No. They continue to become MDs, but rather than look to their own profession, to try to fix their own profession from the inside out, they try to cannibalize other professions. They're like remoras. So rather than eschew all of the bad stuff that they've been taught and all of the bad stuff that their profession has been responsible for, I mean, can you imagine affiliating yourself with any type of a professional organization that has gone out of its way to imprison, slander, and indemnify other people just because they didn't do what you said you wanted to do? I mean, well, that happens in Northern Ireland with the Protestants and the Catholics, right? They're fighting each other. It happens in the Deep South with the Ku Klux Klan and the blacks, right? It's no different with the MD profession. The MD profession has gone out of its way to keep every other medical profession underneath the heel of its jack boot. And they have. You know, it's not my opinion. That's a fact. My profession is only licensed in 16 states in the United States. The state of Illinois found me guilty of practicing medicine without a license because I had the audacity to put the word doctor on my website. They sent the legal notice to the wrong address. And I didn't even know there was a complaint against me, so I didn't show up in court, and so they found me guilty in absentia and fined me $5,000. Now, is that right? Is that just, or is that fair? No, and no. But that's the way that it is. But I digress. So the MD looks around and he sees, holy smokes, the stuff that we do is completely ineffective. We got to do something else. So they glom on to a holistic methodology, and there is an organization called the Institute for Integrative Medicine, and it teaches MDs and nurse practitioners and anybody who doesn't have a naturopathic medical degree holistic therapeutics, or it attempts to teach MDs holistic therapeutics. Now, in a perfect world, what would happen is the MD would give up his license, give up his profession, chuck it, say, look, you know, this is a horrible profession. You've done horrible things to other people throughout the history of mankind, and you led me down the bridle trail. You led me down the goose path. You've got nothing for me. You've wasted my time. You've wasted my time. You've wasted my money. You've wasted my energy. I'm done with you. But they don't do that. They don't do that. They stick around. They hold on to their license. They hold on to their degree. They hold on to the moniker MD. And, you know, they loft it above their heads because when you call yourself an MD in the United States, you automatically have elevated social status. They're not going to let that go. And what they do instead is they do these half-baked therapeutics delivered by the Institute for Integrative Medicine, and they attempt to learn holistic medicine. But the tiger never changes his stripes, does he? Democrat's always going to be a Democrat unless, of course, they give up being a Democrat and register as a Republican. You have to do that. You can't be, a Democrat with Republican ideals. Well, I guess you can. What's that called? A blue dog Democrat? But, you know, those people are personas non grata in their profession. I guess politics wasn't that good a descriptor, right? What a ridiculous profession politics is. Now, so what happens with the MDs is they'll go and learn holistic therapeutics in these institutes for integrative medicine, but because the tiger doesn't change his stripes, they apply vitamins and minerals and herbs the same way that they apply drugs. They apply them through a reductionistic methodology. So like Linus Pauling, they'll give tons of intravenous vitamin C. they'll give lots and lots and lots of vitamin D, D like David. They'll give lots and lots and lots of beta-carotene, or they'll tell people they should all become vegetarians, or that the problem with their health is that they're all overburdened and loaded with mercury, and that what they need to do is a detoxification program while they continue to take their meds for heartburn, they continue to take their meds for type 2 diabetes, they continue to take their meds for high blood pressure, and they continue to get all of the other meds that they're taking for the rest of their life. See, this is watered down, unholistic, integrative medicine. It's no different than Taco Bell. Comparing Taco Bell, if you're a Mexican food enthusiast, you have the choice of going to Taco Bell, which is this watered-down, Americanized version of Mexican food, or a 500-year-old Mexican restaurant in Guadalajara. I bet you're going to get real, authentic Mexican food at the 500-year-old Guatemalan restaurant, right? And it's going to be quite a bit different than what you get at Taco Bell. Well, Taco Bell is watered-down, Americanized, half-baked stuff. It's no different with MDs who study integrative medicine, quote-unquote. What they end up delivering is this half-baked, watered-down facsimile of holistic medicine, and they just don't get it, which speaks volumes to the hubris inherent in the medical profession. Because, rather than just fess up and own up to the fact that their profession is horrible, and that their methodology, their ideology, their philosophy of healing is out of date, old-fashioned, and dangerous, instead of owning up to that fact, they don't. They're cowards. And when you boil it right down to the nuts and bolts, they're cowards. They're not going to give up their livelihood, even if it hurts people. And this is why I recommend you to fire your MD, because there is no reason on God's green earth to respect these people. Every single time they turn around, their decisions are self-serving, outdated, old-fashioned, and dangerous, which would be okay as long as they did not try to get in the way of everybody else, which they do. They're bullies. And this is why, because they drew first blood, I'm drawing a line in the sand. Fire your MD now, and come to us instead, because we're going to give you science-based, clinically verified, good, new-fashioned, holistic medical advice, and that, my friends, beats a poke in the eye with a stick anytime. Right now, we're going to talk to Brian and see if we can help him with an issue of fatigue, I think. Brian's calling from New York. Thanks a lot, Brian. You are live.
Yes, I'm calling. I've got a couple of things I want to get your opinion on. I do have ringing in the ears, which I've had for a while, and along with fatigue, and some fatigue fungus on two of my toes on my left foot. I'm not sure why it's been on there for quite a long time. Also, I noticed that cuts take a while they don't heal as quickly as they could. I do have cold hands. I've had that for years, and also some dark circles under my eyes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, cuts that don't heal, cuts that take a long time to heal, and fungal infections on toenails usually go back to the same root cause, and that's a problem with your body's metabolism of sugar, right? It just can't metabolize sugar efficiently. And so even though you might be eating appropriate amounts of sugar, you're not a sugarholic or anything like that, even though your body might be digesting appropriate amounts of sugar out of your blood, it can't metabolize those sugars efficiently, so you get sugar lingering in the blood for too long. And when sugar lingers in the blood for too long, it feeds fungus and yeast that's in the body. I mean, fungus and yeast are in the body all the time anyway. But when you start to feed them on a regular basis, once they get a foothold somewhere, they'll start to grow. And then once they start to grow, well, it's hard to stop that motor from moving forward if you're continuing to feed it every day. So you probably have a blood sugar issue. Now, most people that do have a problem metabolizing blood sugar, they have one or two of the following symptoms. Do you find that you get sleepy or you need a little cat nap after you eat lunch or dinner? Does that ever happen to you on a regular basis?
Yes, I do feel like in the afternoon for sure.
Okay, and how about in the middle of the night? Do you wake up in the middle of the night after only a couple of hours sleep and you're wide awake?
No, that's rare.
Okay. Rare. All right. So you might have the emphasis here would be on might have a sugar issue, and here's the best way to figure that out. Go to your medical doctor, or better yet, find an online service that you can order blood work for yourself. And by the way, you can order most any blood panel that you want without an order from a healthcare practitioner. Did you know that? You can just go online. There are a lot of companies around the country that have services where you can go and order your own blood work. So the blood work to get, to check to see how healthy your blood sugar is called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin A1C, C like Charlie. C like Charlie. Hemoglobin A1C. It's about a $35 test. Get your hemoglobin A1C checked, and hemoglobin A1C gives you a ballpark estimate of your blood sugar levels for the last 90 days. And it's a much better assessment than a one-time blood glucose measurement, which is what most MDs do. So hemoglobin A1C. And now, if your results are above normal, if they're high, outside of the reference range, and they're high, or they're high normal, they're inside of the reference range, but they're at the very, top of the reference range, then you have a problem with blood sugar metabolism, most probably. And I'm going to tell you how to fix that in just a second. Now, remind me, what was the first thing that you talked about here?
Ringing in the ears.
Okay, very good. So ringing in the ears is osteoporosis of the skull, which is not nearly as problematic as it sounds, and I put together a really good, if I do say so myself, instructional video. It's about 20 minutes long on my website, but in order to get access to that, you have to become a subscriber. So go to my website, become a subscriber for $17. It's $17 a month. You can cancel at any time. Watch the video, but stick around, Brian. We're up against a hard break. I'm going to dial this in for you when we come back and tell you what to do to fix it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now. Back, everybody. Dr. Peter Glidden here. We're talking to Brian from New York. Hey, Brian, are you still with me?
Yes, I am.
All right. Thanks for hanging on over the break. I'm going to come back to the osteoporosis of the skull in a minute because it's a relatively easy thing to get on the other side of. But dark circles under the eyes, the most common cause of those is a food that you're allergic to. And in the greater pantheon of foods that, you can be allergic to anything, man, but there's 5 or 6 foods that people are most frequently allergic to. Generally speaking, when you have an allergy to a food and it's bad enough to create dark circles under the eyes, which is pathognomonic for a food allergy, it always goes hand in hand with a food allergy, it's usually something that you're eating a lot of all the time. So you want to look to see, just for the next 3 days, every time you eat something, just write it down. And then take a look to see, at the end of 3 days, what it is that's common on that list, and you might be surprised, and holy smokes, that's probably what you're allergic to. And we recommend that everybody, even if they don't have dark circles under their eyes, or even if they don't think or know that they have a food allergy, we recommend that everybody eliminate 10 foods from their diet, because we have identified 10 foods which deliver net negative metabolic effects to your body most of the time. And just in the same manner that you wouldn't put diesel fuel into an unleaded engine, well, you wouldn't put these 10 foods into the body. And if you stop putting these 10 foods into the body, most of the time, just by doing that, without any supplementation whatsoever, no exercise, no yoga, no nothing else, just eliminate these 10 bad foods, you start to feel better. And 4 of the 10 bad foods are 4 of the most common foods that people are allergic to. So, and you can get that list for free, by the way, by visiting fireyourmdnow.com and subscribing, opting in for my free newsletter, and it's right there on the front page of the website. So visit the website, opt in for the newsletter, and you get shunted to a page that has the 10 bad foods, okay? So eliminate the 10 bad foods. That will go a long way probably towards helping the dark circle thing to resolve. Get the hemoglobin A1C tested, and if your sugar levels, if those results are at the high end of normal or they're above normal, then you want to get a particular product from Longevity called Sweet Ease. That's Sweet Ease, SWEET-EZE. And the recommendation is 1 bottle of Sweet Ease per 150 pounds of body weight per month. 1 bottle of Sweeties per 150 pounds of body weight per month in order to support and promote healthy blood sugar levels. All right, now, in order to support and promote the health of your skull bone, which we need to do whenever there's ringing in the ears, the recommendation is 1 healthy start pack per 100 pounds of body weight per month, 1 bottle of Cal Toddy, 1 bottle of Cal Toddy, 1 extra bottle of Cal Toddy, and the glucogel appropriate for body weight. And we dose the glucogel at 1 capsule per 10 pounds of body weight per day. So if you're 210 pounds, you need 21 glucogel a day. That's 7 with breakfast, 7 with lunch, and 7 with dinner. And everybody that I talk to, I tell them, regardless of what they have, to take selenium, because selenium supplementation is such a very, very good cancer preventive, and it is such an all-around good supplement. You're just a knucklehead if you don't take selenium. And when it comes to bone health, you get, it's like the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, because selenium facilitates the deposition of minerals on your bones. So it's kind of like throwing gasoline on a fire. The fire gets, stronger and more intense. Well, when you're trying to support and promote the health of the bones with the glucogel and the Healthy Start Pack, when you add selenium into the mix, man, everything works better and faster. So that's it. Do the glucogel, do the selenium. And selenium, by the way, it's 1 bottle per 50 pounds of body weight per month, stopping at 4 bottles per month. So do the glucogel, the selenium, the Healthy Start Pack, and if there's a blood sugar issue, add into the bargain the Sweeties. Eliminate the 10 bad foods and watch your conditions melt away like ice in the springtime. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a call. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, and this is Fire Your MD Now.